A senior scientist from a university in Italy has given what's been described as a highly offensive presentation about the role of women in physics. Professor Alessandro Strumia told a workshop organised by the European research group CERN that physics was invented and built by men, not by invitation. Well, Dr. Jessica Wade, a physicist at Imperial College London who was at the meeting, told the BBC it had been difficult to hear Professor Strumia's analysis.
Understandably, people in the audience were very upset. It was an audience of majority early career women working in string theory and high energy physics, and to hear from someone senior with authority that they were intellectually inferior and had been unnecessarily promoted into senior positions, I think is a really difficult thing to hear. I think it's damaging because it tells a whole generation of young scientists who are working in string theory, high energy physics and physics more broadly, that senior people in authority think that women are inferior and shouldn't be trying out for these positions and shouldn't be doing it and should have been there due to tokenism. But then it also permits this kind of behaviour to continue because this gentleman is in a position of power. He's training young scientists, he's a lecturer, he's a supervisor, and he's teaching those young scientists that this is okay and that these kind of beliefs are okay, and that's the most frightening thing. I think the people in the room were the ones who heard them first and the ones who were horrified and questioning their own ability first. But then it's spread. I mean, we have social media now, so there have been scientists all over the world who are both watching this on the live stream that went out through the CERN website, and then also commenting on the slides afterwards, which have been shared so widely. And I think that's the frightening thing, that it's now given voice to a whole lot of right-wing scientific thinkers who think this kind of behaviour is okay and should be tolerated.
Dr. Jessica Wade, and with me now is Dr. Anne-Marie Imafidon, who's CEO and co-founder of the STEMettes, which aims to inspire and promote the next generation of young women in science, technology, engineering and maths. Very good to have you with us. Although, I remember last time I spoke to you, we were talking about Dame Jocelyn Bell Burnell and her award for her work in physics, a really positive role model for women. And here we are today talking about the comments by Alessandro Strumia in CERN, or at CERN. I mean, were you astonished to hear what he had to say?
I was surprised that he was given the platform, and I think we just heard Dr. Jess Wade talking about this. You know, the whole conference is around gender equality within this space. It was for kind of early career physicists, early career scientists. And so I'm more surprised that CERN gave him the platform at this particular event.
Although perhaps they were unaware. It's not entirely clear how aware they were of the content of his speech. But in general terms, how much of a hostile environment do you think there is for women in STEM subjects?
I think there are hostile environments. They do exist, and even though the entire environment might not feel hostile every day, you have episodes like this and incidents like this, and kind of dialed down microaggressions like this that do happen. And do exist kind of across the space. And so this is one example of one incident that will have happened for everyone that was in that room, that they can point to, that are examples. And we know that this professor in particular has expressed these kinds of views before, but also holds positions of influence and of power in this space. And so you've got to think, what kind of environment is he creating, or is he providing for those that work around him?
And we're just seeing that quote a second ago, you know, physics designed by and for men, and
not for invitation.
And not by invitation. Yes, the implication being that women were progressing because of invitation and not through merit. I mean, has that ever happened to any woman in this area that you've known?
No.
Well, I expect, yes, of course.
I think it's funny. It assumes that the men are also there as well, you know, and they're supposed to be there. And there's this kind of big assumption that gets played between that whole, you know, you're being invited to this space and you're meant to be in this space and you deserve to be in this space. And merit definitely doesn't fit into that equation.
Do you think that hearing this sort of language is going to discourage young women, or conversely, could it make them even more determined to make strides in these areas?
I think it goes both ways. My frustration in all of this is that, you know, that we don't need to hear that language. We didn't need to have that in that arena. And even though it will embolden some, it will turn away others who were ready and waiting for their contribution to physics, and in particular this particular part of science. And this was going to turn away some who shouldn't really be.
We're out of time, but thank you very much for coming along to talk to us, Dr. Anne-Marie Imafidon, founder of STEMETS.